Okay, welcome to the 2019-2020 year-end Super Bowl preview. So we will try to answer the main question, who will win the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Super Bowl? That's questions right up there, and hopefully in my preview we will have an answer to that. So what I will be doing, as I always do, going through the teams, analyzing players, and trying to figure out who will win. George is one team, four-time winner. Tremendous. Myself, Victor, my son Alex as well, facing George in the finals. So normally what I do is the day before the Fab Pickups, I'll make my suggestions to the teams and see if they follow me or they don't, and actually how they do. Being that I was in the finals, I couldn't give my suggestions. So I saw what happened last night. I will analyze those picks right now. I will actually like to share my picks so everyone can see who I was taking last night. You get a good shot of that. And I'll go over them. So the first pick, let me mention first how much money each team had. Ike had 19, I had 6, which basically meant that he could take any two players for $7 each, and the next player would be mine because he'd only have $5 left. I would have 6. So knowing he could take any two players, I put in for a few of them. I said, let's see who I get. The first one I put in for, and I really feel he's equal to Anthony Miller, is Perriman. So Evans and Godwin are lost to Tampa Bay. Ike has Winston. If he did not have Winston, Perriman would not have been my first pick. I only put Perriman in as the first pick to safeguard me in case Winston goes crazy with him. At least I would get some points and minimize the damage from Winston. Turns out he took Perriman, which he should have done. The next pick was a very big mistake by Ike, and I'll tell you why. I put in Anthony Miller. We're going to go through Anthony Miller in a moment when we analyze the teams. Ike took Mike Boone. He spent $7 on him. I put him in for $1 just in case Ike forgot about him for some reason and I had $1 left. I would have done it and taken him. But Ike bid $7 on Mike Boone. Why is it a mistake? Number one, I could not have used him. It's impossible that I could have used him. So if you look at my team, and we'll go through all of it, but the only person I could have used Boone for was Hyde. Hyde plays Saturday at 1 o'clock, which means lineups lock Friday before sundown. You cannot make any moves during the Sabbath for games that are on the Sabbath. I would have to have known that Hyde was out and Boone was in and Dalvin Cook was out. All of that before Friday at sundown, in order to make a decision to start Boone over Hyde, who plays on Saturday. Cook does not play till Monday night. So having information at least 3 days before the game on Friday for a Monday game is very, very, very tough. I was never going to spend $7 on Boone. There's no way I was going to risk spending all the money that was $6 on Boone and risk picking up the only player I could pick up and maybe not even know if I could actually even start him. Another big thing that you should know about that is Seattle D. Seattle D is a big thing. Why? I took Seattle D because I thought they were a great option at defense. I took them last week. Obviously, if you're Ike, you're supposed to look at that and say, wait a second. He loves Seattle D. Who does Seattle play this week? They play Kirk, a receiver that I have on Arizona. The last thing I want to do is start Kirk because you know I like Seattle D. How do you not know that and say to yourself, I'm not going to take a receiver and Boone to block him. I'll take 2 receivers. He did not do that. He left Anthony Miller out there. I thought it's a huge mistake. If he uses Boone, okay, maybe he'll get some points out of him. Again, he's going to have to decide what to do with him. He's not going to use Boone over Carson or Fournette. The only place he could use Boone is in his flex over Henry, possibly. And again, he's going to have to wait. Last week, James Washington was taken by Ralph. He spent $11 on him, never used him, and instead of spending another $1 on Higbee, he spent all his money on Washington. I feel like Ike made a big mistake in taking Boone. The last pick on my sheet, Dan Bailey, $1. I feel he's the best kicker that was available out there. I didn't know that Zerline was hurt. in case Ike didn't pick up a kicker last night, and he took Miller and Perriman, at least I was going to take Bailey away from him. I wouldn't risk spending less on Miller in order to spend more on Bailey, so I spent my max on Miller, hoping I'd get him. If not, maybe I would have gotten Bailey and taken that away from Ike. So let's go. That's basically the Fab recap, and we're going to go through the teams and pick winners in each position. So let's do quarterback. We have Winston versus Houston, Lamar at Cleveland. First thing I want to mention, in case you didn't notice it yet, every single player on Tremendous is away. Not one player is home. It's probably the first time in LOEG history that has happened to anyone. The only home team is the Patriot defense. Everybody else is on the road. So let's compare Winston and Lamar. It might have been close. I don't even think it's close. But if you take Evans, great receiver, wipe him out. Godwin, great receiver, wipe him out. He's left with Perriman. Perriman's stats, he played 12 games. I checked it out. 24 receptions in 12 games. Now, obviously, he didn't get as many receptions because of those two guys. But now Winston is going to have to develop something with him. Those 24 receptions includes last week when Evans was already out. And that, to me, is not enough to do anything for Winston to make him even close to Lamar. So we're going to give the check to Lamar. We have Carson versus Arizona, Zeke at Philadelphia. I'm going to tell you something about Carson. He's been great. 8 of the last 11 games, he's had either a touchdown or over 100 yards. He's amazing, playing great, playing home against Arizona. I think he's going to do great. Zeke, last time against Philadelphia, 23 points, 111 yards, and a touchdown. They're the number 1 offense in the league at this point and playing for the division. I think it's close, but I'm giving the edge to Zeke because of what he did the last time against that team. Hyde versus Fournette. Fournette, in the last 3 games, 27 points. He's averaging 9 points a game. Not doing great the last 3 games at all. Hyde had over 100 yards and a touchdown last week. He's facing Tampa Bay. They're the number 1 run defense in the league. I think a lot of Tampa Bay's run defense has to do that they score so many points and teams don't run against them because they're trying to catch up. I don't know how many points they're going to score this week now that they've lost those 2 receivers. I think it's closer because they lost the receivers. I'm still going to give the edge to Fournette. It's a very small edge in my opinion. Hyde is also questionable. Devontae at Minnesota versus Hopkins at Tampa Bay. I love Devontae here. I think he's going to do great here. I think the Packers run a lot more than they used to run. Devontae has not been great on the season. He was very good last week. Hopkins is the number 1 receiver, I think, this week in all of fantasy football, playing at Tampa Bay. They need to win this game to make the playoffs. I'm going with Hopkins. Now we're going to the next pick. We have Lockett versus Gallup. Lockett, last time he played Arizona, 5 points. That's all he had the last time they played Arizona. Gallup at Philadelphia. Last week, they had a very big lead on the Rams. They were up by 21 points at halftime. He did nothing in that game. I think he's much better than that. I'm still going to give the check to Lockett versus Arizona. Lockett had a great game last week. I'm giving it to him. Now let's look at Moore against Kirk. There's a new quarterback. Moore is Carolina at Indianapolis. A new quarterback playing this week for Carolina. I think it hurts him a lot. As you know, quarterbacks need to work something out with their receivers so they know exactly what they're doing all the time. This is going to hurt him a lot. Kirk. Let's beam down Captain Kirk. Out. He will not be starting. Let's look at Miller. Miller, who was left to me by Ike, again, one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen. The last 5 games, 52 targets, 33 receptions, 431 yards. The last 3 games, averaging more than 14 points a game the last 3 games. How you could overlook him, it just doesn't make any sense. Is he playing against a team they're going to have to score against? Maybe you would ask that question. He plays Kansas City and Mahomes. Chicago will be throwing the ball. They don't run the ball. They're going to need to catch up. He's going to have a humongous game right there. We're going to take Miller. We're going to move him in right here. Miller. And we're also going to give him the check. So that goes to Miller. Now we're going to look at these basically together. I don't know what Ike is going to be doing with, well, actually, we can look at, now that he may not use Henry, we're going to look at Kelsey versus Higbee. Kelsey's unbelievable. His stats are unbelievable. He's probably the best tight end in the league. His comparison to usually any other tight end is way above. Let's look at Higbee the last 3 games. 55 points. 26 receptions for 334 yards. He has over 100 yards in each of the last 3 games. I'm giving the edge to Kelsey because he's Kelsey. Higbee is huge. I don't see a big difference between them. Again, because of what he's been doing. They play at San Francisco. I don't love the matchup at all. But, again, giving that to Kelsey. Henry. Now, who can Ike use in this spot? He's got AP. AP, the last 3 games, 44 points. Amazing the last 3 games. What did he do against the Giants the last time he played the Giants? Not even 3 points the last time he played the Giants. Let's look at the next one. Boone. 17 points last game, again with Cook out. Plays Green Bay this week. Is he going to play? Who knows? Can you make a decision before Monday night? Meaning before Sunday, before he plays, you'd have to decide. Who knows? So we'll see. Perriman versus Tampa. I went through his stats already with only 24 receptions in 12 games. One of these 3 guys are going to slot in, or it could be Henry. There is no way any of them are better than Pat Mahomes. I'm giving Mahomes the check. Bailey is a great pickup. He's indoors versus Green Bay, versus Tucker at Cleveland. I love Tucker. He never ever misses. Bailey's very good. I'm still giving the edge to Tucker because he's just the best kicker in the league, or one of the best kickers in the league. Broncos, Patriots. Patriots last game versus Buffalo. Get ready for these numbers. 23 points the last time they played them. That's how many points the Patriots defense got. 5 sacks, 4 interceptions, and a defensive touchdown. So they are a machine. They're playing home against Buffalo. They need to win. All of these games, actually almost all these players, need to win. They're all either jockeying for a bye or a playoff spot. I'm giving the edge to the Pats. I like the Broncos as a pick. I also like Seattle, but only took one of them away. The Broncos are a good pick as well, but there's no way you're not giving the check to the Patriots. So one last person here. If Hyde is out, there is Scott, who I picked up on Philadelphia last week. In 2 games, he has 29 points in 2 games and 13 receptions. So again, they are playing against Dallas. Dallas is a high-scoring team. They're going to have to score and move the ball, and it's not really a possession game, I don't feel, with the other running back. So I think that he will also have a great game. Whether I use him for Hyde or not, it's to be seen. Let's take a look at the checks. You got 1, 2, 3 on Georgia's side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the Tremendous side. So it's looking like a very, very nice matchup for Tremendous. A lot is to be seen with Winston. A lot is to be seen with Perriman, and if Ike goes for the combo. If I'm Ike, and I got to give some advice. If I'm Ike, I'm starting Perriman because I feel that you need the combo, the Winston to Perriman combo, in order to compete with what's going on this side of the grid. So again, it's up to Ike. He could start AP, end up with a couple of points. He could try to start Boone, and maybe Cook plays. They are playing for the division lead against the Packers. So it's not a time they're going to test out someone. That's my opinion. So one last thing that we can do, we can always ask, the know-it-all. Nobody knows more than Amazon, and we can actually ask and see if they have an answer. Let's go ahead and do that right now. So, Alexa, who will win the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Super Bowl?
Tremendous will beat George. Congratulations to Tremendous on the first of many championships. There it is.
There you have it. There it is. Enjoy.